Good evening, ghoulies and ghosties and long-leggedy beasties. This is Alex, coming at you from the underworld, and welcome back to another episode of... Before I get started, I would just like to say Happy Halloween, everyone. Also, I'm sorry that I didn't upload a book review last weekend. Pretty much life got really busy and I just didn't have the opportunity to actually do an episode, so sorry about that. But I was able to upload a video on my Instagram account, and this is actually a collaboration that I did with the Instagrammer known as Isla and Alice, which if you would like to see that video, I have a link available in the description section of this episode, and it's going to be labeled Halloween Spoken Word Poem, which Isla and Alice is the one who filmed the footage, and I was the one who, of course, provided the spoken word part. And if you are interested in purchasing the stationery that you see in this video, I have a link provided in the description section of this episode where you can go to the Isla and Alice Etsy shop and you can make the download there and just be able to have that stationery right at your fingertips. So, with that said, let's go in and get down to this weekend's episode, which, of course, it's Halloween, and as I had mentioned in previous episodes, I was going to end up going as a character that Carrie had painted me over as, and pretty much all of the characters that have been inspired from the books I've read, we're not going to go with those. I mean, if you don't know why, just go back and watch those videos. The makeup effects that I had, it just... No. But anyway, we're going to move forward, and hopefully Carrie will give me a look in this video that will be perfect for tonight. So, Carrie!
Yes?
This week, I read Something Wicked This Way Comes, and one of the most iconic characters in literature is in this book, which that's the character Mr. Dark. Now, with him, he has tattoos all over his arms and stuff, so I would like to go as Mr. Dark this Halloween, and I would need for you to give me tattoos. Can you do that?
Yeah, 100%.
Okay, let's do it.
Alright.
Well, I don't see anything on my arms. I felt you doing stuff to my face. You should have been doing stuff to my arms. Are you done with this?
Yeah. It's a masterpiece.
I can't see that shit. You son! Well, if this channel ever had the opportunity to be monetized, it is sure as shit gone now. But anywho, as the saying goes, the show must go on. And for that reason, I'm going to put my best foot forward, and I'm going to continue on with my review for Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury. Now, even though I have seen the movie adaptation a million times, I've never read the book before until recently. And I decided this was a pretty good time to do it because, hey, it's October and the book takes place during that month. And after reading this, I had really decided that had I read the book before I saw the movie, I really would have been disappointed in what Disney did to this classic. Which, I say that because the book has a great deal more character development, as well as emotion, plus there's some really cool visual scenes that the movie just didn't touch with a 10-foot pole. And as I read this book, I ended up doing it as a buddy read with my good friend Tiny, who is a huge Ray Bradbury fan. And one of the great things that I enjoyed about reading this with her was the discussions that we had, and I'll touch on a few of those topics in the Thoughts chapter of this video. But for the time being, let me stop my rambling and let's just go in and join hands so we can run off to the carnival and see what's up. Something Wicked This Way Comes by Ray Bradbury takes place over the matter of one weekend, and in this time we discover that Halloween arrives early. So with this in mind, we become introduced to Will Halloway and Jim Nightshade, who are two young best friends. And one evening, as they're meandering around town, they discover that a carnival is coming their way. However, despite the joys that carnivals bring with them, this one has a pending cloud of doom that surrounds it. From here, after the carnival sets up, the two boys find themselves trapped in a horrific scenario, one that includes an age-altering carousel, a manipulative mirror maze, a freak show full of lost souls, and also a ringleader who is on the hunt for fresh blood. The title, Something Wicked This Way Comes, was taken from a line in Shakespeare's Macbeth. And from that play, this famous quote is spoken by a witch as she seals the spell cast by her coven. In its entirety, the lines are, "By the pricking of my thumbs, something wicked this way comes. Open locks, whoever knocks." Originally, the concept of Something Wicked This Way Comes surfaced in 1955 when Bradbury wanted to collaborate with his friend Gene Kelly, who would act as the movie's director. This is when Bradbury wrote the script called The Dark Carnival that he had adapted from his short story The Black Ferris. But after Kelly shopped the script around, none of the studios provided funding. Since a movie wasn't in the cards, over the next 3 years, Bradbury transformed his script into the classic novel. And technically, although there are no reappearing characters or continued plots, Something Wicked This Way Comes is the second book in the Greentown series, where the first book is Dandelion Wine, and the third book is Farewell Summer. Fun facts! Here's a few things that inspired Ray Bradbury to write Something Wicked This Way Comes. Also, here's the reason why the movie and book are so different. Ray Bradbury grew up in Waukegan, Illinois, and it was this location that inspired his fictionalized town of Greentown. Also, some of the characters like Mr. Electro, the Skeleton Man, and the Illustrated Man were all influenced by actual people who Bradbury met as a child when he visited a carnival. In regards to the movie adaptation, without the consent of Bradbury, who wrote the script, Disney altered a good portion of his vision, which this prevented audiences from seeing what Bradbury had intended. After the movie was poorly received, Disney added additional scenes a year later, which, because of this, the actors who played Will and Jim look older in these sequences. In addition to recalling the movie, Disney contacted Bradbury, who demanded he be in charge. After they agreed, the movie received a narration and a new musical score and a new edit. After its release, Bradbury admitted the movie is not perfect and there are still things missing. Now that we have that covered, it's time to move on to the spoilers section. And pretty much, if you've never read this book before, I'm about to discuss some scenes that could ruin the experience for you. And if you would like to skip this segment, all you have to do is scroll down to the comments section, and you'll see that I have a pinned comment at the top with the timestamp in it. All you have to do is just click that timestamp, and it will redirect you from the spoilers to the thoughts section. Now, you only have 17 seconds to do this, so ready, set, go! Since everyone has had the opportunity to click away, I want to talk about a few of my favorite moments, which the first one that comes to mind is when Mr. Cougar rides the carousel forward. Now, prior to this, Will and Jim had been snooping around the carnival, and they had watched Mr. Cougar ride the carousel in reverse, which, because of it going backwards, it allowed him to become a child again so he could be an imposter. So, after he finishes doing what he needs to do, Mr. Cougar returns to the carousel to ride it forward, and this will allow him to become an adult once more. Well, at this point, Will and Jim have returned to the carousel, and Jim wants to ride the carousel because he also wants to become an adult. But Will won't let him do it because he understands that this is unnatural. So the two of them get into a fight, and they accidentally bump into the control panel, and this causes the carousel to spin out of control, which by the time Mr. Cougar falls off of the ride, he's like 100 and something years old, which he should be dead at this age, but he isn't. And what gets under my skin about this moment is we're dealing with the subject of forced age manipulation. And truth be it, I really would consider that subject to be a next-door neighbor to the subgenre of body horror. And as I've said before, body horror gets to me because it reminds me that our bodies cheat us. And so for that reason, this scene was very effective. Now, the second moment that I really enjoyed was when Charles showed up at the carnival and volunteered to do the bullet trick with the Dust Witch. Now, prior to this, he had actually defeated her by laughing at her, so the Dust Witch is kind of scared of him. And at the same time, Mr. Dark thought the Dust Witch had killed Charles, so he's pretty surprised to see Charles here. Now, the thing is, Mr. Dark and the Dust Witch are kind of backed into a corner because there's an audience and there's really nothing they can do. So Charles gets on stage and takes the rifle and bullet from Mr. Dark, and he carves a smiley face into the bullet, which after he does this, he loads the gun and shoots the witch. And the thing is, it actually kills her. And the only reason it does is because Charles carved that smiley face on the bullet. Had it been a check mark or a crescent moon, it would not have worked. And the reason why is because at this point, Charles has realized that happiness and love kills the darkness and evil that is a part of the carnival. So had he not carved that smiley face on the bullet, she would still be alive. And I really love this scene because it makes me see that Charles has Mr. Dark and the Dust Witch by the balls, and there's nothing they can do about it, and it's so great to see the tables turn. Also, I really love the idea how even though Will was in a trance-like state, Charles was able to call on him for help, and Will came to Charles to help him, which I really thought that this emphasized the whole idea that a parent's love is so strong it can break a spell. So that was cool. Now, the moment that I absolutely loved in this book is near the end, and pretty much you have where Jim has gotten on the carousel and Charles and Will are trying to get him off. But at the same time, Mr. Dark is trying to break them apart, so he disguises himself as a kid named Jed. And he goes into the tent to try to lure Charles away, but Charles understands that this is just one of Mr. Dark's tricks. So Charles ends up hugging Mr. Dark, and when he does this, he puts all of his positivity, happiness, and love into Mr. Dark. Which, because Mr. Dark is an entity, or a person, I guess you would say, he's a subject that really just thrives off of fear and darkness. All of this positivity is what kills Mr. Dark. And when he dies, all of his tattoos vanish from his arms, which we learn that these are actually the lost souls that he has brought into the carnival and is forced to be a part of the freak show. And once those tattoos vanish, the lost souls are free to go. And what I love so much about this scene is it has so many really cool visuals to it that I just wish they would have transitioned over into the movie, but they didn't. And there's so much going on, too. Like, you have Charles who's killing Mr. Dark. You have the lost souls that are emerging from the shadows, and we're not sure what their intent is. Then you also have where Will is trying to save Jim. So, yeah, there's a lot going on here, and I really loved how it made my adrenaline rush. Y'all, with what I'm about to say, it should let you know that in the past, I have ignored the red flags of toxic people, and I have fallen for the thirst traps. So, okay, Mr. Dark is a soul-sucking, heartless bastard who does not do one good thing for the entirety of this book. However, the way I imagined him, oh, girl, he was as fine as a candy apple. And check it. Okay, He has charisma, he's tall, got tattoos all over him, and he is sharply dressed. So yeah, fine-ass man. And if I was in this story and he approached me and was like, would you like an all-access pass to my carnival? I would have been like, does it include your Tower of Terror? And you can take that innuendo however you like. But in all honesty, I'm happy that I've been in a positive relationship for the last 6 years, because being in this relationship has really saved me from having to fish in the gutter for hot trash. Something Wicked This Way Comes is a book that you can enjoy as a surface read, but when I read it, I noticed that it had some foreshadowing as well as allegorical characters, and there was quite a few different themes that were going on. Now, as far as foreshadowing goes, I noticed where at the beginning of the book there was quite a bit of tension, and when the character by the name of Tom Fury spoke with Will and Jim, he explained about how there's a storm that's coming and one of their homes is going to get struck by lightning, which, due to how this is being emphasized, I understood that he's speaking about something more than just a storm. And also, by how it feels like the boys are being zoned in on, it feels like this entity is going to be after one or both of them. So not only do we have foreshadowing, but we also have metaphor. Now, as far as character development goes, this is where I noticed the allegorical characters, and I was really able to pick out 4 different characters who I felt were allegories. The first one I want to talk about is Charles, and he advances throughout the story, which he also represents everything that's positive. Now, on the flip side, we have Mr. Dark, who represents everything that's negative, and he never really advances. He just kind of stays in a rut and he collects people's souls, which some people might think he's the devil, but he isn't. Now, other allegorical characters are Will and Jim. And with Will, he represents everything that's positive. This is even down to his lightly colored hair and how he rejects the carnival. But Will, on the flip side, is the person who is interested in negativity or is drawn to negativity, and this is described down to his dark hair and how he wants to utilize the carnival to get what he wants. And by how the boys are described, they really seem like the physical manifestation of yin and yang. And I really do like how in the book at the beginning you have where Tom Fury is explaining how some people attract positive energy and some people attract negative energy. So with this in mind, I was kind of wondering, well, maybe the carnival came because Jim attracted it, but there's really no way to tell for sure. Now, as far as themes go, I notice one of the themes really focuses on the idea of not allowing someone else to have power over you. And a good example of this is with Mr. Dark and his carnival. They thrive off of fear and negativity, and as long as you're afraid of them, they have power over you. However, they cannot take positivity, love, happiness, that kind of stuff. They can't deal with it. So if you're not afraid of them and you remain positive, then you have the upper hand over them. And I thought that was really cool because it reminded me of a circumstance in my own life, which a few years ago I had gone to a convention and there was a panel that was being hosted by a high priestess of Wicca, and she was explaining about positive and negative vibes. And I really found it interesting how when she said if you go around a person who's negative or you go in a place that you feel is negative, you open up a positive bubble of light around you, you sing something happy or you hum something happy, and you raise the vibrations to positivity and you decrease the negativity, which I really found it was cool that this subject was used in the book. And as I was reading that, I was like, oh wow, that's actually real. You can do that. You can raise positivity by just simply singing something happy or doing a happy dance. So that was really cool. And another theme that I noticed was self-acceptance, which this is really specific in regards to age, because we have the character Charles, who wants to be young again, but he discovers it's better just to be a child at heart. Then we also have Will, who wants to be an adult and skip out on his teenage years. Well, the thing is, he's going to be squandering away some of the best years of his life, and he doesn't realize how precious those years are, because some adults out there would love to be able to regain those years. So, at the end of the day, it's really talking about just being happy about yourself and accepting yourself the way and age that you are. And even though there are quite a few different themes I could talk about here, I don't want to spend like hours talking about them, so I'm just going to let you read the book, and however it speaks to you, of course, load up the comments, because I would like to see if you viewed anything differently. But at the end of the day, I really felt like this book wasn't something that was scary, but there were some concepts that did creep me out. And I really did become invested in the story, and it was something that did make my adrenaline rush, and I honestly could not put it down. I absolutely love Something Wicked This Way Comes, and my only one regret was I didn't read it sooner. Also, if you've seen the movie but you haven't read the book, just know the book is 100 times better than the movie. And overall, I think that this is the perfect book to read for October. It really made me feel like it was Halloween. Also, I think that it's suitable for adults and young adults because there's nothing overtly graphic in this. So, yeah, I highly recommend this book. It is an absolutely fun read. It's good and creepy, and it's also very nostalgic. On to the questions. My first question is, what is a horror book you would recommend about an evil carnival, fair, or circus? Load up the comments. My second question is, what's your favorite ride when you go to the carnival or a fair? Pretty much, I used to be terrified of heights, but after I went to Disney, I kind of warmed up to the idea. So I've gone from enjoying nothing more than the Tilt-A-Whirl to actually enjoying the Ferris wheel. And that's saying a lot because, like, 10 years ago, I got on the Ferris wheel then, and I cried the entire time simply because I was that afraid. So, yeah, I've finally overcome that fear, and I've gotten to the point where I can ride something of that caliber, and maybe I can start riding things that are a little bit more intense. But totally, load up the comments. I'd like to know what you have to say. Now it's time for me to move on to the meme of the week. And if you would like to participate in next weekend's meme, all you have to do is just go to the description section of this video and click on one of the links that I provided for my Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram, because on those platforms, what I'll do is upload an image that I'll use in my upcoming video, and all you have to do is leave a caption on that image, and the best caption gets a shout out. So for this week, I decided to go with this following meme. Well, it should come as no surprise that I do have a perverted and twisted sense of humor. So for that reason, I went with Benji Hively, who says, "When you wake up at the orgy after blacking out." So thank you, Benji. That was really hilarious. I was really happy to receive that from you, and thank you for watching. I hope everyone enjoyed this weekend's meme, but now it's time for me to close out the video. Which, before I do, I would like to say thank you to Lisa G and J.L. Mulvihill, which J.L. Mulvihill is a young adult fantasy steampunk author, and her books are available in print, ebook, and audio, and they're available wherever books are sold. If you're wondering why I'm giving a shout out to these wonderful people, it's because they've had the opportunity to contribute to my Patreon account. And if you would like to contribute as well, just go to the description section of this video and you'll see that I have a link provided. And for $5 a month, I'll give you a shout out at the end of my videos. If you have a special profession you would like for me to tie to your name, I'll do that as well. And for $10 a month, you'll still receive the shout out, but I'll also send you over a creepy photo at the beginning of every month, which I do creepy photography on the side. And once you receive that photo, you can print it off, do whatever you want with it. And if you're able to contribute, that's awesome, thank you. If not, that's cool. I just hope you return to this channel so we can have fun. And with that covered, also, if you would like to contact me on social media, links to my Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok are all available in the description section, which with TikTok, I use that as a platform to review horror movies, and they're not as detailed as the book reviews that I do on here. But With that said, be sure to subscribe to this channel and also click that notifications bell because I have more book reviews coming in the near future. And until we see each other again, I hope you have a happy Halloween. I hope you have a great week and sweet nightmares.